Okay, so in our yesterday session, which is day one of 3-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program, we were discuss about the curriculum, what are the topics we are going to, what are the product we are going to cover in this 3-in-1 Firewall Mastery Program, and after completion of each firewall, what are the type of certification you can go for and what you will get after the training, right? So that and all we were discussed, and since this batch is going to start with Palo Alto, so we had a deep discussion with the curriculum, whatever the curriculum we are going to cover in Palo Alto, PCNSA and PCNSC both. So that we were discussed. So and due to time concern, we are unable to discuss about the detailed description. So about course curriculum discussion for FortiGate firewall and checkpoint firewall. So that's why yesterday I shared the curriculum brochure for your reference. So I hope everyone gone through that curriculum brochure, right? And for those who looking for a detailed curriculum discussion video, I after this session I will share the link where you can access the detailed course curriculum discussion for FortiGate firewall and checkpoint firewall as well. So today, since this batch is going to start from Palo Alto is the first firewall, right? So today we are going to do lab with Palo Alto topic. Okay, so one of the topic in Palo Alto, we are going to do lab, guys. Okay, so here before start the lab, sorry. So before start the lab, we are going to those who newly joined this demo, so those who missed yesterday's demo session, so for a quick walkthrough, I'm going to tell you in this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program what are all the product we are going to cover, and if you are going to enroll this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program within 48 hours, so what is the additional benefit you will get, right? So that information I just want to convey with you guys. Okay, so so in this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program, firewall combo, right? So we are going to cover Palo Alto as the first firewall product. In Palo Alto, the curriculum we are going to cover a detailed curriculum. So in Palo Alto, there are two type of certification program, training program. Okay. So one is administrative level PCNSA, Palo Alto Certified Network Security Administrator. Okay, and then another one is the professional level, expert level certification, which is called Palo Alto Certified Network Security Expert. Okay, so our curriculum, which include both. So we will start from the scratch. You are going to learn entire Palo Alto, so along from the basics to advanced, along with Palo Alto firewall. So the PCNSE curriculum, which include one more product called in Palo Alto, you are going to learn Palo Alto firewall. PA means Palo Alto, guys. Okay, and then Palo Alto management device. Okay, so which means actually that denotes management device panorama. So the device called panorama, where you can, by using panorama, you can manage multiple Palo Alto firewall under one roof. So you may working under my multi branch company, so the each, let's assume that your organization have 100 plus branches, all that 100 plus branches they have a Palo Alto firewall to secure the each branch, right? So all the, which means almost 100 plus Palo Alto firewall you guys are going to deal. So this 100 plus Palo Alto firewalls you can manage under one roof. If you have a panorama device, you can integrate all the 100 branches Palo Alto firewalls under one roof, and from the panorama you can manage all the Palo Alto firewalls uh, as a single administrator, right? So you lot of advantage we have because of by using this tool. So that and all we will discuss. Yesterday we were in our course detailed course curriculum discussion video itself, I have given some info about more info about panorama, and in our live sessions we'll discuss a lot of things. Okay, so panorama can can deployed as a management device and can deployed as a log collector, centralized management device and centralized log collector, both you can deploy. I mean, any one of the role you can deploy. So that and all we'll discuss in our live session, guys. Okay, so after completion, so duration for the Palo Alto, it will take 1.5 months. So 40 to 45 hours. Sometimes it may extend to 50 hours. So that's why I said 1 to 1.5 months it will take to complete Palo Alto file. Since this batch is going to start a weekdays batch, and Monday we do have a session on Monday to Friday, and this schedule will be 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. guys. Okay, this is the schedule, 1 hour session. Okay, so just a minute, guys. So 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. each and every day up to Monday, Monday to Friday, guys. Okay. So I think this is not updated inside. Okay. Time is not mentioned here. Actual batch timing will be 8:30 p.m. as per Indian Standard Timing. Time zone is Indian Standard Timing, guys. 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Daily 1 hour session each Monday to Friday, guys. Oh, clear? Okay. So after this Palo Alto, we will cover FortiGate is the next firewall. Okay. So after FortiGate firewall, we'll go with the checkpoint, guys. So FortiGate firewall, after completion of Palo Alto training, you are eligible to write PCNSA or PCNSE. Directly, you can go for a PCNSE. Okay. And after Palo Alto, we'll start with FortiGate firewall. In FortiGate firewall, if you want to become a certified engineer in FortiGate firewall, then you have a previously this certification is called as NSC 4. Now they have changed. So in yesterday itself, we were discussed about that deeply. So if you have missed yesterday's session, we already shared the link, a recorded video for that yesterday's demo session. So I request you to go through that yesterday's demo session, guys. Okay. So now this certification is called FCP, Fortinet Certified Professional. So where it's a where you're going to learn the Fortinet product core core knowledge. So which is nothing your FortiGate firewall. So if you want to become a NSC 4 certified engineer or NSC 5 NSC network security expert level 5 or 6, 7, 8, anything, you must have a knowledge of FortiGate firewall. This is the core knowledge. So without FortiGate firewall in Fortinet certification, you cannot get any type of certification, guys. NSC 4, NSC 5, NSC 6, up to 8, anything without having a knowledge of FortiGate firewall, it's not possible. So it's a core certification, just like a Cisco certification track. So how for enterprise certification you need to if you want to become a CCNP engineer or CCIE engineer, you need to complete core examination, right? The same way enterprise core, right? And for security, yes, core security core exam, right? So the same way in FortiGate, any type of certification in a Fortinet, if you want to go for NSC 4, NSC 5 up to NSC 8, anything, it's a core examination you must complete. So if you write the examination, then you will be treated as a Fortinet security certified professional. Okay, FCP certified engineer. It's a specialization certification, and to become a NSC 4 engineer, additionally after completion of FortiGate firewall, you need to learn any one of the product 40 manager or 40 analyzer. Okay, any one of the product you need to learn and you need to go for a certification. So once if you have completed and if you pass the certification, then you will become a NSC 4 certified engineer, network security expert level 4 certified engineer. It is the equivalent to CCNP security certification. It's a security professional certification, guys. Okay, so you can go for any certification in a Fortinet environment. You must have a knowledge of FortiGate firewall. Okay, then after completion of FortiGate firewall will take 1 month to complete, 30 to 35 hours. So it will take 1 month to complete our FortiGate firewall training program. And after that we'll cover checkpoint. In checkpoint There are similar to Palo Alto. There are two type of training level. Sorry, training level is there in a checkpoint. So one is CCSA, which is checkpoint certified security associate, and then our administrator, and another one is expert level, checkpoint certified security expert. Okay, so if you want to become a CCSE certified engineer, you must have a certification of CCSA. But if in Palo Alto, if you want to go for a PCNSE certification, you no need, there is no prerequisite. You must have a knowledge. No need a PCNSA certification, but you must have a knowledge of PCNSA plus Panorama and troubleshooting. EDU, which is called as EDU 210 paper, EDU 220 paper, and EDU 330 paper in Palo Alto environment itself. They will. So if you want to get trained Palo Alto in a Palo Alto network, officially Palo Alto network itself, then you have to complete these three training programs. So which yesterday we were deeply discussed, right? So that curriculum will, all these three papers are included in our curriculum. So you're, after completion of this training program, you are eligible to write PCNSE certification, guys. Okay, directly. There is no prerequisites to become a PCNSE certified engineer. Only you should have a knowledge of Palo Alto and Panorama, hands-on knowledge. Okay, that is fair enough. And FortiGate training, there are two papers is there in a FortiGate firewall. So if you want to get trained in a Fortinet itself, so they will cover as a two type of two different training. One is FortiGate security, another one is FortiGate infrastructure. Both we will cover under our curriculum, guys. Okay, so it will take 1 month to complete. And as I mentioned, in checkpoint only, if you want to go for a CCSC, then you must have a knowledge, you must have a certification. It's not enough having a knowledge. You must have a certification of CCSA, then only you can go and go for a CCSC certification. And our curriculum, we will cover CCSA and CCSE, both the curriculums we will cover. So it will take 1 month to complete entire checkpoint firewall training. Okay. So duration for all these three firewalls will take 3 to 3.5 months it will take to complete, guys. Okay, 3 to 3.5 months it will take to complete entire all fine, sorry, 3-in-1 firewall mastery program. And previously we were given a 5-in-1 firewall mastery program training. So right now, so it is taking a, so most of the students are feeling like it's taken almost 6 months, because it will take 6 months to complete. Okay, so in FTD we will cover a FTD firewall plus FMC, one more product, like, and so an ASA 1 month, FTD and FMC it will take another 1.5 months. So it will take almost 5.5 months to 6 months it will take to complete. So it's taking it uh, much duration. So what we have planned. So we are reducing that fine on firewall package. So we have, now we are providing the live training for only the major three firewalls. So FortiGate, Checkpoint, Palo Alto, all these three firewalls only. And if you guys, and I'm requesting, I'm getting a request from some of the students. So they want to learn other two firewall as well. So due to their requirement. Okay, so I'm going to give those who are going to enroll 3-in-1 firewall mastery program. For them, I'm going to give rupees 10,000 or 150 USD worth of pre-recorded videos of Cisco ASA and FTD firewall training program, live instructor training program recorded videos. I will give you free access. Okay, those who are going to join this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program. Okay, this is the law. So in our last 2 months back itself, we were mentioned that. So that is going to be a last batch for 5-in-1 firewall mastery program. But unfortunately, last month some of the request I received from the students, and now also I'm receiving the request from the students. So that's why I have planned like this. So I mean, we are going to drop the 5-in-1 firewall mastery program. So those who looking for a 5-in-1 firewall mastery program, so as a added value, I'm going to, you no need to make enroll for 5-in-1 firewall mastery program. So you can, if you're enroll 3-in-1 firewall mastery program in this batch, those who join this demo, right? So those who are going to join this batch, so for them, we are planning to provide this ASA and FTD firewall pre-recorded videos for your reference. It's a it's a 2 years sorry, 3 years validity I will give you for this access. Okay, and other firewall, whatever you are going to learn as a live training, each and every live sessions recorded video also will be uploaded in our portal. You can able to access the recorded video. Okay, so the portal and through our mobile application and web application, you can able to access the recorded video. And I will share the link where you can able to download the mobile application in Play Store and iStore. And then and then I'll share the web link as well, guys. Okay, so once you have enrolled, I'll give will start to give the access for AS and FTD pre-recorded videos. And then we'll once the live batches will start with Palo Alto coming 8th Jan. So which means coming Wednesday it is going to start. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, guys, sorry. So as I mentioned, I'm going to provide the recorded video, pre-recorded videos for you guys. This is as I mentioned, this is the last batch. I mean, the previous batch is the last batch of Five-Known Firewall Mastery Program. So those who missed that batch, you can utilize this option, guys. Okay, so I'll give you the access. Okay, guys. And then if you have any, I mean, if regarding the course curriculum, if you have any doubts, you can just ping me. Okay, after the demo, I'll share my contact number, so you can just ping me. Or if you have any queries after the demo, I'll give you last 10 to 15 minutes as a Q&A session, so you can ask any queries. If you have a question regarding the uh, common questions like what is the curriculum and what is the training duration, everything training duration I have explained, when the batch is going to start, that I have explained, right? And about the lab access, so we are offering the our virtual lab, so you can access our virtual lab as well. And if you want to use your own lab setup, we will help you to create your virtual lab, which we are, I mean, we'll provide the tools. So we do using the virtual lab only. So that virtual lab we'll use with the E1G. Okay, so that E1G tool and necessary software and image files and setup for the lab to install your lab, everything we will guide you and we'll help you for that. So you no need to worry about it, guys. Okay, clear. So let's start our today's demo session. Okay, so which the lab today we are going to see on lab with Palo Alto. Okay, so let me show my topology first. Just a minute, guys. Okay, yes. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so let's start our demo with the Palo Alto and let me show you the topology. So this is the topology. Right now I'm going to use it. Okay, so as per this topology, so this is simple LAN setup I have, which is having a 172.16.1.0/24 network. Okay. And I have a simple DMG server segment where I have a web server and a DP server. Okay. And this is my management network, which is 192.168.1.0/24 network. And this is my WAN network internet, which is connected with 192.168.10.0/24 network. And this is my head office as of now. So simple topology I'm using right now to make you understand. Okay. And then the second part is this is side two. the remote site. So another branch network. um, okay, so where I have a simple LAN setup and my Palo Alto firewall to secure my LAN setup, and this is the management network for my site 2 network. Okay, so this is the simple topology I'm using right now, and this we will use this. We'll communicate with the site 2 network and the remote users and all. Site 2 network will implement when we are going to use IPsec VPN, and remote users we will allow to access the remote users to our internal network. So when we are going to implement the SSL VPN, so that and all advanced topic now we are not going to see. Okay, so today's topic is, so if I just want to take a topic in a Palo Alto. So how we can deploy Palo Alto firewall. So what are the deployment options we have in a Palo Alto firewall for Palo Alto firewall data interfaces? Okay. So in Palo Alto firewall, in your data, Palo Alto firewall interfaces will allow different type of deployments. Okay. So you can allow one interface as a layer 3. What are that and all we'll discuss now. One interface you can deploy as a layer 2 simultaneously. Another interface you can deploy as a virtual wire simultaneously. Okay, so the multiple deployment option we have. So it depends on your organization need or your client need. You as an administrator, you have to decide what type of deployment option is suitable for your client. Then you can after that you can, after decide that suitable deployment option, you can implement that deployment option, guys. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how what are all the deployment options we have. Data interfaces, physical interfaces, deployment options we have in Palo Alto firewall, and in that we have totally 5 different type of deployment option. So in that, one of the major implementation, one of the major widely used deployment option is layer 3, which means you are going to deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a perimeter firewall, and which is going to utilize almost 90 percentage, where you can utilize almost 90 percentage of the Palo Alto firewall features when you're deploying in your when you're deploying your Palo Alto firewall as a layer 3 device, layer 3 deployment, which means perimeter or gateway firewall. Okay, so how to deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a gateway firewall, and that lab we will do it now, guys. Okay, so before going to the lab, so as I mentioned, we'll see the introduction about the other deployment option, and okay, and what is the each and every deployment features we have. I mean, what is the advantage of having this deployment option? Okay, that and all we'll I'll give you small walkthrough, then we'll go with the layer 3 deployment, guys. Okay, so in Palo Alto firewall, your data interfaces, physical Palo Alto firewall, we have a different kind of interfaces. Okay, so Palo Alto firewall, we have a physical interface, logical interface. Okay, so physical interface you can deploy. Today whatever we are going to talk, that is about physical interface deployment of the physical interfaces. In Palo Alto firewall, we have a logical interfaces, your data interfaces, physical interfaces called physical interface. Logical interface means if loopback interface, VLAN interface, right? Tunnel interfaces, right? Such as your logical interfaces. So that we will loop back, and VLAN, tunnel interface, and all tunnel interface we'll discuss in a VLAN, I mean IPsec and SSL VPN topic, right? And VLAN interfaces we'll discuss about inter VLAN routing, okay? And loopback interface we'll discuss in a routing scenario. Okay, so when you are going to enable some routing protocols, right? So that and all we'll discuss. Okay, but the today we are going to discuss about data interfaces, physical interfaces. So your Palo Alto firewall, you if it is a hardware, right? So this hardware is coming with the physical interfaces. So Ethernet 1 or gigabyte Ethernet 1, whatever, simply let's take a small device. Okay, so entry level device PA200. So Ethernet interface, 8 data interface we have, one WAN interface, one high HA interface we have, right? So these data interfaces, you this is it by default. These interfaces are not enabled with any feature. Okay, so by default it will be logically down, and it will not enable with any type of feature, whether routing will not be supported, switching will not be supported, right? So just in a data interface, it's a physical interface, Ethernet interface, which is not enabling with the routing and switching functionalities. Okay, so you need, while select the interface deployment option, you are going to enable that functions. Okay, so now these data interfaces you can deploy in a different method, guys. Okay, so one of the option is called tab interface. Okay, another option is called a virtual wire interface, and third option called layer 2 deployment, layer 2 interface. You can deploy your data interface as a layer 2 with a layer 2 functions. Okay, and fourth option called layer 3 interface, which means you can deploy that in particular interface as a L3 interface, which means you're enabling the L3 function, L3 function like routing, NAT, VPN, all the features. Okay. And fifth one is last one. This is for management purpose. So HA interface. So I told you earlier, right? So here in your physical hardware, they will give one dedicated interface for HA, right? Then why we need to deploy our data interfaces, any one of the data interfaces, why we need to deploy as a HA interface, then why they given that particular option? Because in Palo Alto, if you are going to achieve high availability redundancy protocol like active passive or active active, so in redundancy purpose, you can achieve redundancy between two Palo Alto firewalls by connecting two Palo Alto firewalls. If you give a one physical connectivity is not enough, you need pair of interfaces. You need two interfaces need to be connected with your Palo Alto peers to achieve the redundancy failover, or redundancy, right? Or you can say it's a high available. So that's why in basic level hardwares and all, they will not give a two dedicated interface for HA. You can use only one, they will give only one HA interface. So in that use case, you can use your data interface as a HA purpose, and you can deploy that particular data interface for HA. So that's why they given that option. You can deploy your physical interface as a HA purpose. For simply, it's for management purpose. That interface is not going to carry forward the data traffic or user initiated traffic. Okay, it will only carry forward the management traffic, when which is the physical, I mean, your peer interface initiated, what a peer firewall, whatever it is initiated, that will be carried forward to your secondary device. Okay, through that data interface, I mean through that HA interface. Actually that is a physical data interface only, but once you enable it as a HA interface, it will act like a management interface itself. Okay. Clear, guys. So these five types deployment options we have for the Palo Alto data interfaces. Okay, so physical interfaces. So why we need these type of deployment? Okay, so then what is the each of deployment option? What is the use of each of deployment option? What, right? So tab interface. Okay, I'll come back to the tab and virtual layer later. First, you know what is HA interface, right? So for high availability redundancy purpose, so you can use your data interfaces. So there is two reason. If suppose your dedicated HA interface physical port is not working properly, you have some issue with that dedicated HA physical port, then instead of upgrade your hardware, you can use available data, any one or two data interfaces, whatever it's free in your Palo Alto firewall. You can select that interface and you can use that two interfaces for HA purpose. Okay, so that's why they given that option, first option. Okay, the second, which is called layer 3 interface. Okay, I'll come reversely, guys. Okay, so so that you can easily understand. So third, second, which is layer 3 deployment. You can deploy your Palo Alto firewall data interfaces as a layer 3 purpose. So layer 3 means here only, as I mentioned, here only your Palo Alto firewall, whatever the firewall features you have and whatever the other functions of your firewall, 90% of the Palo Alto PAN operating system features can be utilized when you deployed your Palo Alto firewall as a layer 3 deployment. Okay, so which means when you deployed your Palo Alto data physical interface, that particular interface is a layer 3. This interface is eligible to do routing, NAT. It will carry forward the routing, NAT, VPN traffic. Okay, and this is along with firewalling function called layer 3 filter to layer 7 filter. You can do filter the traffic based on the IP address, based on the network address, right? Based on the source, user identity, which is comes under the layer 7. Okay, user identity and layer 4 filters. You can use layer 4 filter like protocol, based on protocol or port number. So right, and based on the layer 7 under application wise, if you want to block any specific application, or right, all the firewalling features, all the next generation features, right? UTM feature, URL filter, file blocking, right? And then IPS activities, antivirus profile, anti-malware feature, everything you can use when you're deployed as a layer 3 option in your Palo Alto firewall. So simply I mentioned, so when you are going to use this data interface as a layer 3 deployment, it will work as a firewall, a layer 3 to layer 7 filter you can achieve. And also it will support the routing and NAT VPN. Only drawback is it will not support the layer 2 functions. It will not act like a switching environment. It is not suitable for the switching environment. This deployment is not suitable for the switching environment. Okay, clear. So you can use as a firewall all for type of filter along with the next generation features, UTM features. It's mentioned UTM features, IPS, IPS activities, URL filter, application control, file blocking, data leakage protection, right? And then zero-day threat prevention. Every features will be utilized. Only one option, which is switching related topics will, the functions will not be supported on that particular interface. Then what is layer 2 interface? So layer 2 interface means it will not support layer 3 functions, but rest whatever firewall feature is there, everything will be supported. Okay, so it will not support routing, VPN implementation, and NAT. Since it's not capable to do L3 task, right? So it will L3 only, routing will be done on layer 3 and NAT will be done on layer 3, and VPN will be IPsec. IPsec VPN will be implemented on layer 3 only. So this devices, this type of deployment, when you deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a layer 2 interface, so in this use case, this devices, this deployment is not uh, able to do any L3 functions. Okay, but rest of the firewall features like layer, still you can use as a firewall. You can block all the traffic from this layer 3 filter to layer 7 filter, and you can use all UTM features. Okay, UTM features means whatever I have listed, like all next generation firewall features. URL filter, website blocking is possible, application control is possible, antivirus profile, anti malware, anti malware protection. zero-day threat prevention, and then file blocking, data leakage protection. All this UTM, all are called UTM features, guys. Okay, all these features will be supported, which means you can simply say it is a UTM feature means it's a IPS function, intrusion prevention system, dedicated device which can do identify the vulnerability and intrusions in your production network, along with this some of the additional features called application control, URL filter, antivirus feature, and anti-malware protection, zero-day threat prevention, file blocking, data leakage protection. Okay, so hereafter if I'm calling UTM feature, I'm meaning I meant all these features only, guys. Okay. So only drawback is it will not support layer 3 functions, so you cannot do NAT with that particular in that particular interface when you decided to deploy as a layer 2, and where you cannot uh, participate, that interface is not participate in the routing protocol, so it will not identify the routing updates and all. Okay, and it will not communicate, it will not support the IPsec VPN since it's not able to do routing function, L3 function. Okay, but rest of the features along with layer 2 switching environment, it will support VLAN environment. Okay, and all the switching related switching environment, you can deploy this firewall, and you can use as a firewall as well and switch as well. Secured switching environment, you can implement secure switching environment, guys. Okay, along with additional security features. So then what is virtual wire interface? So virtual wire interface, this is the some of the interesting deployment. Okay. So which will not support layer 3 function and layer 2 function. Your virtual, when you deploy your data interface of Paloalto firewall as virtual wire interface, you need pair of interfaces. You need minimum two interface, I mean pair of interfaces. So to create one virtual wire interface. So that virtual wire interface will be connected each other. Okay. It's and so how to deploy this and how it will work, that and all I'll tell you in upcoming sessions. So now I'm giving you the overview what is virtual wire deployment. So virtual wire deployment will not support L3 functions, which means it will not support routing. VPN, it's not IPsec VPN, it's not possible. And then NAT implementation is not possible when you're deployed on that particular interface. Okay. And then switching, not L3 and L2, L3 and L2 functions. So it will not support VLAN. Switching features will not be, layer 2 features will not be supported. Okay, but you can use still, you can use that particular interface as a fire along with all the firewall features. You can still control the traffic. You can create the policy to block the traffic based on the layer 3, I mean based on the IP addresses, based on the network address, based on the user ID, all the filters you can achieve. Firewalling functions, you can deploy as a dedicated firewall, but that particular firewall will not do routing and NAT VPN implementation, IPsec VPN, but it can still block the traffic, control the traffic, and deep inspect the traffic. IPS, dedicated IPS, along with firewalling features, it has full IPS functions. So which means all UTM features you can be utilized. So one, it will not identify, it will not understand what is IP. It will not understand MAC. Okay, which means layer 3 and layer 2 function not will not be supported. But still you can use as a firewall, and that firewall filter you can achieve layer by using layer 3 datagrams like IP based blocking is possible, network based blocking it's possible, protocol and port number based blocking it's possible, service based blocking is possible, and then application and user based blocking also is possible. And only disadvantage is it will not support routing and switching and IPsec VPN. Okay, since it's not support the layer 3 function, IPsec VPN, NAT, it's not possible. Since it's not support the MAC, it will not support routing protocols. Okay, sorry, switching protocols. Okay, so but still you can use as a firewall. So simply for your simple understanding, I'll tell you it's a next generation IPS, enhanced IPS device. It's a IPS device with firewalling function. Okay. Only the drawback, layer 3 functions and layer 2 functions will not be supported. Then what is next? The next deployment is called tab interface, guys. So tab interface means it's it will not actually, it will not similar to virtual wire. It will not support IP address, or I mean it will not support L3 filters or L3. I mean, sorry, it will not support L3 functions, L2 functions, and it will not able. It will detect. It can able to, simple words. It's a IDS. When you deploy your Palo Alto firewall data interface as a tab interface, that interface will work as a IDS device, intrusion detection system, which means it can able to identify the vulnerability and by monitoring the traffic, right? But it will not take any action. It is not possible to take action against that vulnerability, virus or malware or any URL unblock, any illegal URL is try to access, or any user is try to bypass your production network by using any vulnerability or any threads, malware, virus, anything. This device will identify that, but it will not able to detect it because this device will be deployed in the outer line of your production network. So it will, this deployment will be used for audit purpose. It will capture all your live traffic, copy of your live traffic, and it will analysis and it will send the report. It will not take any action. So it is purely used for auditing purpose. Okay. It will not take any action, guys. Okay, so in a real time scenario, this type of deployment they will used in a data centers for audit purpose, and this deployment in a real time scenario they will use in a data center to additional security layer in their production networks. If suppose, let's see, let's draw the topology. Say this is my Palo Alto perimeter firewall layer 3 deployment, and it is connected with ISP, and this is my internal network. Okay, and I have connected with my LAN. Simple topology I'm writing here, so drawing here. So here I have my data center, I mean server segment. So in the server segment, as an additional security layer, okay, or make it like this. Okay, where I have my servers layer to deployment here. This is a switching feature with the Palo Alto firewall. And this is layer 3 deployment Palo Alto perimeter firewall, gateway firewall. And this is I can deploy as a uh, it's a vWire, virtual wire deployment. Okay, and virtual wire have two option, two purpose. So the first purpose you can use as a additional security barrier. Okay, so let me tell. I mean, if suppose this Palo Alto firewall by it's bypassed. If suppose it may be a Palo Alto firewall or some other firewall, let's assume that. Okay, so if hacker is try to bypass your production network, unfortunately this gateway firewall is compromised. So additionally what will happen, once it is compromised, the attacker can able to enter into your production network, and they whatever he want, he can steal your information, right? So as a additional security barrier, I'm planning to I want to add more security in my production network, since I this is a data center, all right? So where we'll maintain a more sensitive servers and sensitive data center, right? So here, as a additional security layer, I want to use my Palo Alto firewall. Okay, so in that case, this deployment, this Palo Alto firewall will not, when you deploy it as a vWire, it will not make any changes in your existing network. So because this interface and this interface will not have any IP address, it will act like a tunnel interface, logical tunnel interface only. It is not going to have any IP address or MAC address. So you just adding one as a add-on, you're going to enter, you're going to additionally you're going to insert your firewall here without making any changes. So if suppose your gateway firewall is bypassed, and your internal network can be protected by the vWire firewall which you deployed as a vWire, right? So Palo Alto firewall which you are going to deploy as a vWire. So this firewall will, the advantage of this firewall, since it doesn't have any IP address, it's a non-traceable device. If you do trace route, if hackers try to do trace route in your organization, so they can able to reach up to here. On here, this device is not having any IP address, so it is non-traceable. So additionally, one more security layer you are adding in your production network. So this is the one of the advantage. And if suppose they try to bypass your server segment, so in a switching environment, gateway firewall is bypassed, compromised. So in switching environment, in without instead of normal switching device, if you are using a Palo Alto firewall, and it will add one more security layer in your production. Okay. So again, if it is bypassed, the next level barriers will help you to protect your environment, guys. So this is the one of the use case in a real time scenario. There are multiple options, multiple use cases there. Okay, for these different type of deployments, but this is the major one deployment feature, guys. Okay, the use cases in a live production network. Okay, and the same way, one of the alternate way in I am having this is my existing network. So this new network was implemented earlier. So I have some other firewall, let's say for FortiGate firewall or ASA firewall. So this ASA firewall will not do L3 function. I mean UTM features. It will not support UTM features. But ASA firewall is good in all L3 functions, and it can able to filter the traffic layer 3 to layer 4 as well properly, right? So I don't want to replace any, I mean I don't want to make any changes in my existing network. So in that case, if you but still I want to use all next generation firewall features. So in that case, you can deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a vWire deployment. So when you're deployed as a virtual wire, without making any changes, you can additionally add your one more security layer in your production network by implementing this Palo Alto firewall as a vWire deployment, guys. Okay, so this is another use case. And in a real-time scenario, in a production network, they are not only going to have only one firewall. Okay, so it doesn't mean they are going to use only one brand firewall. Okay, one one brand product, right? So maybe they used as a perimeter firewall, they may used a FortiGate, I mean Palo Alto firewall or FortiGate firewall or checkpoint firewall, and other purpose like a switching environment, I mean layer 2 segmentation or vWire segmentation. They will use different kind of devices, guys. Okay, so in that use case, the vWire will helpful us to, without making any changes in your existing network, you can deploy this firewall. So that is the added advantage when you're deploying as a Palo Alto firewall as a vWire deployment. Okay, so I hope now, sorry, the explanation which I want to give is tab interface, right? So tab as well, tab, I missed the tab. So what they will do, so if instead of, let's say in my production network, I have 100 PCs or 500 pieces. All the users are try to access the internet or internally they try to communicate. If I do deep inspect all the traffic, all the aspect, right? So I'm going to achieve all the features, layer 3 to a layer 7, all the filtering functions and all the UTM features, deep inspection, deep monitoring, right? If I'm going to apply on my all on my live traffic with the perimeter firewall. So this is the gateway firewall. It will do all the inspection and it will do routing and NAT and VPN. So it has a lot of workload. So if you are apply do deep inspection for all the traffic, whichever the internal network users are initiated or outside users are initiated, your firewall will it will make a latency. It will create a delay in your network, guys. Okay, so you should not, you will not able to do deep inspect all the live traffic in your production network. Obviously it will make it will make some latency. So to avoid that, whatever in a real time production network, whatever then they need a real deep inspection for any specific traffic, any specific application, that only they will be implement, and they will not implement all the inspection ways. Okay, so to avoid the latency. Okay, so in that case, if suppose any vulnerabilities I production in it is enter try to enter into your production network, or any mm, illegal I mean the data stealing or credential stealing happen. The hacker is try to do illegal activities. So that activities cannot be monitored all the time by simply we are not doing deep inspection for all the traffic. So that's why in a production network, what they will do here in a switch, right? Whatever the internal or external traffic is receiving on your firewall or in your in a LAN switching environment, or right, anywhere, they will what they will do, they will collect the copy of the packet, span switch port analyzer, right? So that span feature they will be enabled, and that switch will collect all the traveling traffic, copy of that traffic, whatever the traffic is passing through forwarding and receiving, right, in your production network. That copy of the packet will be sent to your Palo Alto tab interface. So this is the Palo firewall, and it will be deployed as a tab. So now this Palo Alto firewall, after receiving all the copy of the your live production network traffic, right? So it will try to do or inspect all the traffic. If it is identified anything is vulnerable, it will not able to take action because it is not deployed in inline mode. It is deployed in outer line in your production network. So it will send a report to the audit team, guys. Okay, so it will send a report to it, it will send the logs to the audit servers, right? So whatever the log is received and whatever the identify vulnerability is identified, everything will be forwarded to your log server. Okay, so this is what your tab interface will do, guys. Okay, clear? So more detail about this interface deployment, we will discuss all the interface. We do have a separate session for each and every deployment options. Okay, so that time much we will discuss, guys. Okay, today we'll start lab with layer 3 deployment. Okay, so layer 3 deployment. Yeah, so let's start the layer 3 interface deployment lab. So I'm going to enable today, I'm going to enable Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2 of my Palo Alto firewall. Okay. So to deploy your Palo Alto firewall as a layer 3 deployment in for Ethernet 1/1 or 1 and 1/2, you need to additionally configure some major features into the data interfaces. Okay, so you need to make sure these five following configuration is done or not. Okay, so first one is you need to select the type of interface. Type as L3. After select as a layer 3 deployment, right? First one, you need to add this interface. You need to define the zone. Zone is nothing, it's a segmentation of your internal networks. Okay, so that interface is connected with which network? LAN or DMZ or outside WAN network, or you may have a multiple LAN. So department wise, whether it is connected with the sales team or whether it is connected with the technical team, right? So that segmentation is called zone. So your Palo Alto firewall is a zone based firewall. So any interface, if you are going to deploy that interface, must be enabled with a zone. So you need to add zone. Add zone is the first thing. Second, we are going to deploy as a layer 3, right? So add virtual router. I told you earlier, right? So your Palo Alto firewall data interfaces, it's a by default, it's normal Ethernet interface, which is not enabled with any layer 3 function or layer 2 functions. So while enabled as a layer 3 device, this virtual router feature is only the this is the feature where it is going to manage L3 functions like routing. It will receive routing functions or forwarding feature. It will enable routing and forwarding functions. So in this virtual router only, this virtual router only can listen the routing table updates, everything. Okay, so if you're going to add a routing table or enable routing protocol, everything you will do it under virtual router only. So that particular interfaces need to be added inside this virtual one router. So by simple way, virtual router, it's managing your routing function, L3 functions. Okay, clear? So routing protocols and routing forwarding features. So that must be enabled for that particular interface. Whichever the interface you selected as a L3, that interface need to be added into the virtual router. Third, if it is a interface, and since it's a layer 3 interface, so to communicate with another network or within the same network, you need a IP address, right? So you need to assign the IP address. Okay. Fourth, interface management profile. If you want to use this particular interface for any administrative purpose, like if you want to take a management console of your Palo Alto firewall with your specific any specific interface data interfaces apart from the uh, your management interface, in your data interface, if you want to access the administrative services, then you need to enable this feature. Okay, and then last one is tag. These two features are optional. Tags or identifier, so which means it's a color code. This is just a color code. So to understand that particular interface is connected with LAN or WAN or DMG for visually impact. Okay, so I mean visual impression purpose, we will use this color code, guys, but it's logically it's not going to do anything. For better management purpose, so easy to manage, to identify the policy and interfaces that particular interfaces belongs to which zone, LAN zone or WAN zone or anything. So by using color code, you simply you can identify that particular interface. So that's the reason I said this is optional. This is optional, fully optional. Interface management profile, it's partially optional. Why I'm saying that partially, when you want to, let's say, this is my Palo Alto firewall, and that Palo Alto firewall is connected with the ISP, and this is connected with my internal network. So this interface of Palo Alto firewall, which is Ethernet 1/1, is my LAN gateway. So I have some. This is my LAN system A. Unfortunately, I have some issue with the system A. Try to access the internet. So while troubleshoot, first step I'll check the reachability of my gateway, right? by using ping network services, ping protocol. So to accept the ping services, you need to the on that your data and according to Palo Alto firewall, ping, SSH, telnet, HTTPS, HTTP. These services are administrative services or simply known as management services. So the administrators will use these services to call the Palo Alto firewall console. Ping will be checking for the reachability. The rest of the services, SSH, Telnet, HTTPS, HTTP, these protocol, these services, they will use to manage your Palo Alto firewall. As an administrator, to manage your Palo Alto firewall, they will use these services. So these services are called administrative services or management protocols. So by default, data interfaces will not enable with any management protocol. Okay, so you need to, if you want, you can enable that management protocol by the help of adding interface management profile. Okay, so it is optional only. So because that we are not going to access your Palo Alto firewall console as an administrator through the any data interfaces. But why I said it's a partially, when if you are doing two troubleshooting, right? So when you're doing a troubleshooting on that any specific network, right? If you system A now not able to access the gateway or not able to access the internet, first step of troubleshooting, we will check whether we have a reachable to our gateway or not. So by using ping protocol only. So Palo Alto, it's considered ping protocol also. It's one of the this network service also one of the management protocol. So that's why they are not accepting it. So we need to do accept for the troubleshooting purpose or checking the reachability purpose. So that's why we need to attach this management profile enable with this ping protocol. Other services you should deny that in a real-time protection. Okay. So if that is also fully optional, I mean, if you don't, if you're not going to check reachability on your LAN gateway, you no need to enable it. But that particular data interface without having management interface management profile, that particular data interface will work properly, guys. So that also we'll do lab now and I'll show you how it is working. Okay, clear? But this tag is fully optional. And this is if you want, your data interface will work, but when you're doing a troubleshooting, that time you'll face some difficulty. So that's why we need to enable the ping services. That is possible when you're attached the interface management profile. Okay, so let's do the lab one by one. First, I'm going to enable my data interface of my Palo Alto firewall, which is Ethernet 1/1. Go to your Palo Alto console and log in with the Palo Alto console. Okay, so interfaces you can able to configure under network menu, and you can see that interface and Ethernet interface. This is your physical interfaces, and these are the logical interfaces. I told you, right? VLAN, loopback, tunnel. Okay, so this is the physical interface, and here Ethernet 1/1. You can see that it's not having any IP address. It's not having any tag or anything. It's not showing, right? So security zone, anything, it's not showing because this interface is not properly enabled. So select the Ethernet 1/1 and then select the interface type. What type of command if you want you can give. So I'm going to deploy this interface under LAN zone. So LAN zone giving command. For this command is as an administrator for your reference. So you can by using these commands you can easily understand what for what purpose they have enabled this interface to connect with the which network they have enabled that interface. Like that you can mention that command in the command line. You can mention it. It's fully optional. If you want you can enable, you can add the comments. Okay, select the interface type as a layer 3 since we are planning to deploy as a gateway perimeter firewall, so you need to be deployed in a layer 3. Okay, and I told you, right? So when you deployed when you select the layer 3, it is ask you to provide the virtual router, and it is ask you to provide the security zones, and it is ask you to provide the IP addresses. Okay. And these three, virtual router, security zone, and IP. Without these three, your this L3 interface will this interface will not properly enable, guys. Okay, properly it will not work. Okay, let's start. Let's assign the virtual router, and there is a default virtual router. By default inbuilt virtual router routing function is there, so which is managing the routing function. That router name is logical router name is default. Okay, so select that default virtual router. Before that, you can see that virtual routers and default is there. If you go inside the default, you can see as of now this default virtual router doesn't have any L3 interface. Simply, once you enable the L3 interface, Ethernet 1/3 and 1/1 and 1/2 inside this default virtual router, then route interfaces will be listed here. Okay, and you can see that static routing protocol if you want to configure, or dynamic routing protocol if you want to configure anything, you will routing related configuration, you will do it here only, guys. Okay, so now go to the interface and select that particular interface, select type as a layer 3. Okay, and enable virtual router as default and security zone. As of now, there is no security zone because we are this is a fresh firewall. We are not configured any security zone. You need to create a security zone. So click new zone and automatically you can see that type of zone is layer 3. So any type, if you are deploying layer 3 interface, then zone type should be layer 3. If you deploy layer 2 interface, then zone type should be layer 2. If you deploy tab interface, then zone type will be tab zone. If you deployed virtual wire interface, then zone type will be virtual wire zone. So it's similar type view. So layer 3 zones will not be deployed in a layer 3 interfaces. Will not be deployed in a layer 2 interface. I mean, layer 2 interfaces will not be deployed in a layer 3 zone, and tab interfaces will not be deployed in a layer 2 or layer 3. It will be deployed with only tab interfaces, tab zones only. Okay, so respective interfaces, same type of zones you should be select, guys. Okay, since we directly can enable with the create the zone with the interface mode itself, automatically it's taken a layer 3 type. Okay, so give a name. It's a LAN zone. Okay, and as of now, in this LAN zone, we don't have any data interfaces, so that's fine. Shiv, I told you a tab interface. It's an IDS interface. It will not do routing and VPN or any other firewall functions. It will act like a IDS simply. Okay. So in previously only I have explained. So can you got my point? What is tab interface? Tab interface means which is it will act like a IDS, means it will not deployed in a live production network, and since it is not able to filter the traffic in a live production network, and it will detect the virus, malware, spyware, any vulnerability, but it will not take any action against that. Okay, it will just collect the information and will send the log to your log service. That's it. Okay, and it will not do routing, it will not do NAT, VPN, any services will not be provided when that particular if you are deployed that interface as a tab interface. Are you clear now? I hope it is clear right now. Yeah. Okay, fine. So now just enabling that interface. I mean, I have created the zone and that's it. That is fair enough. Just click OK. And here inside Ethernet 1/1 hereafter will be added into the LAN zone. And hereafter will be added into the default virtual router. And third option, you need to assign the IP address, right? So let's try to assign the IP address here and let me add IP address LAN interface IP. Okay. Let me assign the IP 172.16.1.10/24 network. Subnet mask I'm giving as /24 slash value. And here you can see this. It is asking you to provide the tags. So it's a color code. If you want, you can provide. Right now, I'm not adding the color code. So while enabling the other interface, we will add the color code. Okay. So because I said right, it's a not mandatory. So that's why to show you that only I'm not going to add right now here. First, you need to create the tag, then only you can able to add. Okay, so now IP assignment is done, virtual router assignment is done, LAN zone is done. Three things are completed, and fourth one is a tag. We just ignore it for the fourth and last one, which is interface management profile. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to enable interface management profile here. Okay, so mine create new interface management profile, and I told you, right, so it will be used for the administrative purpose. So whatever the administrative service you want to enable, you can enable. But this, since it's a data interface, administrators are not going to access the firewall in a data interface. They are going to access through dedicated management interface, right? So we will accept only ping protocol. Okay. So management profile name is allow ping. Okay. So in this profile, I'm just accepting the ping protocol. The reason I'm going to test the interface, whether that interface is properly receiving the interface or not. Sorry, in receiving the IP, receiving the traffic or not, or it is forwarding the traffic or not. That and all I need to test. So I need to enable that ping protocol here and just click OK. And as I mentioned, IP is assigned, and the virtual router is assigned, security zone is assigned, and management profile is assigned here. But only tags are missed. So that's fine. It's fully optional. Now you can see that. So now I have assigned everything, but still it is not updated. Whatever the configuration I have done, but still it is not updated because whatever the changes you have done in your Palo Alto firewall, you must do commit. You must save manually. Then only the uh, whatever the changes you have done, that will be reflected in your running configuration. Okay, just commit. Commit process will take time. Okay. Okay, now commit is successful. Now you can see that link state is it's showing in a green color, which means that interface is properly up with a full duplex or okay, 1 Gbps speed. Okay, 1 Gbps du cap capability. Okay, so data transaction capability, guys. So now it's showing what that interface is deployed as a layer 3, and management profile is allow ping profile we have attached. In that profile, we used ping protocol only, right? And IP addresses we have assigned. Okay, so what is the IP we have assigned? That is it's showing. What is the zone we have assigned, and what is the virtual router we have assigned? Everything it will show you. So now the same detail you can go to the zones and try to open the LAN zone, and you can see that Ethernet 1/1 is added, and go to virtual router, and open the default virtual router, and you can see that Ethernet 1/1 is added, right? So now Ethernet 1/1 is properly enabled, guys. To verify that, just to open this machine. Let me assign, this is a fresh device. Let me assign the IP address here. 172.16.1.20 I'm going to assign. 1.10 I have assigned for my LAN gateway. What is my LAN gateway? 172.16.1.10. Okay. In future, we are trying to access the internet, not today. So just click OK, accept. So now try to ping your LAN gateway, which means your Palo Alto firewall Ethernet 1/1 interface. So I'm getting reply, which means that particular interface is successfully receiving the traffic and it is transmitting the traffic. So as a L3 interface, okay, all right, it's properly working, right? Now let me enable other interface, Ethernet 1/2, and meanwhile just assign the IP for Ethernet 1/2. 16.2.20 I'm going to assign here, and gateway I'm going to assign 172.16.2.10 IP I'm going to assign for this Ethernet 1/2 of Palo Alto firewall. So that is my DMZ interface, DMZ network gateway. Okay, right now my gateway is non-reachable because I'm not configured Ethernet 1/2 interface up to now. So let me go to my Palo Alto firewall and enable that interface Ethernet 1/2. So now what I'm going to do, go to Ethernet 1/2. Before enable Ethernet 1/2, I'm going to create the tag for that in IP address for Ethernet 1/2. Okay, and go to object and tags. Here you can create a color code DMZ zone. Okay, so DMZ zone is connected. I'm going to use this tag for DMZ zone, and color code is medium blue. I'm giving. Okay, and I can also create a tag for LAN zone. Let me give lime green. So now go to your object and create a IP address here. Go to existing LAN IP and assign tag now if you want. Okay, so now create one more IP. This is for DMZ interface IP, and IP is 172.16.2.10/24 network. And tag, if you want, you can assign DMZ, right? And just click OK. Now go to your network and interface and enable Ethernet 1/2 and choose the type is layer 3, and assign the virtual router with the enable the L3 function for that particular interface by adding this interface into the default router, and create a zone for this interface Ethernet 1/2 and Ethernet 1/1 LAN zone we have added for Ethernet 1/1. This is Ethernet 1/2. It's a different zone, different segmentation, DMZ, where we have a server segments, right? So create a new segment and name is DMZ zone. Okay, and just click OK. Go to IP address and try to add IP address here. So LAN interface IP we already assigned for Ethernet 1/2. Sorry, 1/1. DMZ interface only, interface IP only. We have created as an object. Now we are assigning that IP to Ethernet 1/2. Okay, and then so IP assigned is default router is done, security zone is done, IP assignment is done. But here, right here, I'm not going to Attach. Okay, let me attach the interface management profile as well. I'm going to attach the same interface management profile which accept the ping services only. Just click OK and do commit. So all the necessary configuration we have done, right? So IP assignment is done, vWire is done, sorry, virtual router is done, and security zone is done, and then interface management profile is done. Even tag also we have configured. So just do commit now. Next 5 minutes, guys. Well, I'll complete this. Almost we are about to finish this topic. Okay, IP assignment 17. Okay, let me check. I try to add 172. Let me check the object. Yes. Okay, I can make it changes here. That is fair enough. Thank you for update, Siv. I thought I added a type. Okay, I do commit the changes once again because we did, when we committed that time IP assignment is 17, but actual IP assignment is 170, 172. So I'm modified. Let's see what we have. Sorry, guys. Okay, now you can see 172.16.2.2.10 assigned for DMZ interface. 172.16.1.10 is assigned for LAN interface. So now go to your DMZ machine. Try to check whether your DMZ interface is properly reachable or not. Two dot ten from DMZ. Windows 4 is my DMZ server machine. You can see the name is Windows 4. Now the server machine to Ethernet 1/2 I'm pinging. Ethernet 1/1, Windows 1 to Ethernet 1/1 is properly pinging. So which means that interface is properly working, right? Now go to in this Ethernet 1/2 check. I'm going to check Ethernet 1/2. Now you can see Ethernet 1/2 interface also properly sending the reply to your DMZ machines. So properly it's working right now. Okay. So I told you, right? So there are m- mandatory configuration like zones and virtual router and then IP assignment. So we all know without IP addresses we'll not able to communicate. So you no need to check the IP schema. But what about the virtual router assignment? If you have missed the virtual router assignment, if you have missed the zone assignment, what about whether that particular interface is properly work or not? That we will check now. Okay, along with one by one. So let me check. I mean, let's start. Go to your interface, Ethernet 1/1. Now I'm not going to enable virtual router. Okay, and just click OK. Virtual router is not assigned for this Ethernet 1/1 now. Just do commit. Meanwhile, now you can go to the Windows 1 machine. Still, you can see 116.1.10 is pingable. Windows 1 machine. From Windows 1 to Ethernet 1/1, I am pinging. So that Windows 1 machine is still, it's giving a reply because I'm not yet committed. I have made these changes, but I'm not yet committed. So now once you committed, the virtual router will be removed for that particular interface. I mean, that Ethernet 1/1 will be removed from the virtual router. Now you can see that it's giving some warning. Ethernet 1/1 has no virtual router. If you don't have a no virtual router, I mean, if you're not assigned the virtual router for this particular interface, what will happen? Once it is committed, you will able to see that. So comment. You can see that suddenly your Palo Alto firewall, we already assigned the IP address. We assigned the zone as well. So IP is enough, right? And it is directly connected network only, right? So you don't need to add any routing protocol and all. But still, we are not getting reply. The reason that interface is not, it is not yet decided whether I'm going to act like a layer 3 function or layer 2 function I'm going to do. Even though you just say in a console, you just say it's a layer 3 deployment. But to achieve the layer 3 functions, you need to add that interface into the any virtual routers. So if you go to the virtual routers and default router, which is predefined one, and check out the interface, it will show you only Ethernet 1/2. So your Ethernet 1/1 is not yet added. So that's why that Ethernet 1/1 is not able to do any L3 function, routing function. It will not support L3 functions. Okay. Even though you just assign the IP address, routing will not be enabled until unless you are going to add that particular interface into the virtual router. Now go to network and interface and enable Ethernet 1/1 as virtual router, add default virtual router. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to disable zones for this interface. Let's see what will happen. Now I have added a virtual router, but I have disabled the zone features. Let's see what will happen. And go back to your Windows 1 machine. Again, you can see that suddenly it's give a warning. Interface Ethernet 1/1 has no zone configuration. See, still we are getting request timeout error because now that particular interface is able to do routing functions, but your Palo Alto firewall will work based on the zone based concept. So you need to, any interface, if you are deploying any type of interface or any data interfaces, you're deploying as a layer 3, layer 2, whatever, you need to assign that particular interface need to be assigned with the zone. Any zone you need to give. Okay. Any you need to assign that interfaces belongs to which zone, because your Palo Alto will decide based on the zone concept only. Whether I'm going to allow or deny, I'm going to accept or not, everything will be decided based on the zones. Okay. So you must enable zone, guys. Okay. So let me go to Ethernet 1/1 and enable zone. So so it's a LAN zone. And IP assignment, without IP will not able to communicate. So you no need to check on it. Okay. And third option, I'm going to disable the interface management profile. Now you can see that when I disable the zone, when I disable the virtual router, my firewall is giving an error. That particular interface doesn't have a zone configuration, doesn't have a virtual router configuration. But when I disable the interface management profile, my firewall is not giving any error. And after commit, still I'm getting the same error. Reason? Your interface is now properly working, but administratively you are not accepting the ping protocol. That's why it is not able to receive, it is not able to reply, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to check whether my Palo Alto firewall Ethernet 1/1 interface is properly working or not without assigning the interface management profile by communicating with Ethernet, I mean Windows 1 to DMZ machine Windows 4. I'm going to ping Windows machine 1 to Windows machine 4. Windows 1 is belongs to LAN zone. Windows 4 is belongs to DMZ zone. So let me try to ping 2.20. So from Windows 1 to Windows 4 I'm pinging, which means LAN to DMZ machine I'm pinging. Both are two different zones, but still I'm getting the same error. Now it's because of the communication is denied because of your firewall. Your interfaces are ready to accept, but the firewall is denying because why means the communication we are trying to communicate one network to another network, one area to another area. So by default your firewall will not allow one segment to another segment, one zone to another zone. So by default your firewall will deny that because of there is one implicit policy, interzone default policy. That policy will deny that if you are try to communicate one zone to another zone. So it will be updated later within few minutes. Okay, so now the traffic is denied because of this policy only. Deny. Okay. So without having any policy, one zone to another zone, you will not able to allow this communication because your firewall will deny that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do for that, you need to create one rule. So let me create a rule to allow this communication. Let me create one rule to allow this communication. So LAN to DMZ, I'm allowing this communication. So simple rule I'm creating any source, any destination zone is LAN zone, source zone is sorry, destination zone is LAN, source zone is LAN zone, destination zone is DMZ zone, and application any service any simple rule I'm creating is. So I'll tell you how to create effective security policy that and all we'll discuss in a live session. So today our motive is whether that particular interface is properly working or not, whether it is able to receive and forward the traffic or not without having management profile. Okay, just click OK and just do commit, and you can see that window go to Windows 1. Once it is successfully committed, you can see whether we are able to reach or not. Now you can see that we are getting a reply. So in my Windows, in my Paloalto file, we are getting reply means we are able to communicate. The traffic is successfully forwarding via your Paloalto file because source is your LAN machine. Windows 1. Destination is your DMZ machine, Windows 4. So now it is a try to communicate via your Palo Alto firewall. So Ethernet 1/1 is successfully receiving the traffic and it is opening the packet and it will check the destination. Destination is your DMZ Windows 4 machine. So simply forward the traffic to your Ethernet 1/2 as outgoing interface, and Ethernet out 1/2 is it's doing the same thing. It forward the traffic to the Ethernet, I mean your Windows 4. So which means even though in my Ethernet 1/2 I have accept the management profile, but Ethernet 1/1 I haven't accept the management profile, right? Even though I am not enable that management profile, this interface is able to receive the traffic and able to forward the data traffic. When I initiate the traffic ICMP ping as a Ethernet 1/1 for the network checking reachability purpose, administrative purpose, when I initiated for Ethernet 1/1, that interface, when it is a destination itself, Ethernet 1/1, that time it will not accept the ping services. But any other services, if the destination is not that particular interface, any other services, it is simply receiving that and it is forwarding that traffic. Okay. So which means routing is function, L3 function is properly done on that particular interface. So if you want to allow the ping services, then you need to enable that interface management profile. So that's the reason, if you're that's the reason I said, if you're not enable the interface management profile for any data interface, it will not affect the user initiated traffic. Data traffic will not be affected. When you're initiated the management traffic or administrative traffic, that time only you need interface management profile. That's the reason I said it's partially mandatory, but it's fully optional. Whatever, it depends on your organization approach whether you are going to enable the administrative services or not. So in normal scenario, they will enable all the data interface with the administrative service only with ping protocol. Okay, so now go to object, and then sorry, go to network and interface, select ethernet 1/1, and then go to advanced, choose ping. That's it, ping protocol. So now your all the data interfaces whichever you have enabled, it will properly accept the traffic. Even though it's if when it comes to the administrative services, it will accept only ping protocol. If you try to take a SSH or HTTPS console access, it will not accept. If you want to allow them to access, any administrator, if you want to allow to access your Palo Alto firewall from data interfaces, then you can. So let me initiate it. Now you can see I'm able to get ping replay for 172.16.1.10 from Windows 1, LAN to LAN machine to LAN gateway. I'm able to ping because I have enabled the ping services. Now from this machine, the same Palo Alto firewall console, I want to access it. 192 dot sorry 172.16.1.10. See, 1.10 is reachable. I'm having ping replay. But when I initiated HTTPS traffic, because I'm not getting reply because it's a administrative services. So if you want to accept the administrative services, then only you need to enable your management traffic interface management profile. Go to your object and interface management profile. Sorry, network interface management profile, and accept the HTTPS services as well. Just do commit. So the same profile I have attached on all the enabled interfaces. So now go to, once it is committed, you can see we will get the response from your Palo Alto firewall. You can see that we got the response now. Go to advanced and proceed. Still it is showing pending. Now you can see that you got a Palo Alto firewall quick console, administrative console, right? So it's because of we accept the administrative services as well. But in a real-time scenario, they will not do like this. So I just want to show you how what is the interface management profile and what is the use of that. Okay. So in our today's session, we learned what are the type of physical interfaces we have, what are the type of deployment option we have for Palo Alto physical interfaces, and when you're deploying is a layer 3, what are the major configurations you need to do, what are the major component you need to configure, what is zone, why zone is important, and what is virtual router, why virtual router need to be enabled when you're added when you're enabling the data interfaces, and what is and without IP address we'll not able to communicate, that we know, so that importance of that as well. And we also tested with interface management profile. What is interface management profile and how it will be affect if you are not going to attach in your, whether it is going to affect the data traffic or whether it is going to affect the management traffic if you are not going to attach. Okay, but the rest of three, these all the major mandatory. So without zones will not be communicate. Without virtual router will not be communicate. Without IP will not be able to communicate. But without interface management profile, still data traffic will be forwarded, but management traffic will not be accepted. Okay, and tag, it's a identifier. Okay, so I'll show you the use of tag now. If you go to the policy, you can see zone, it is showing a green color for LAN zone. So by using LAN color identity, green color identity, I can understand this policies belongs to LAN zone, and to zone it is showing that blue color. So it means LAN to DMG, this policy is there. So like that, when you have, it's a simple, we have only one policy, so it is very easy to verify manually. But when you have hundreds of thousands of policies in your production network, so that time it is very difficult when you're doing a troubleshooting. So that time your tag identifier will help you guys. Okay, so by seeing that color code, you can easily say identify this is belongs to LAN to so and so zone policy, or DMZ to so and so policy. So like that you can easily identify it, and it's very easy to understandable. So that is the use of tag. Okay, any doubts guys as of now? That's it today. Any doubts regarding this today's session, regarding layer 3 deployment or any other deployment? So I have given overview for other deployment option as well. What is layer 2? What is layer 3? So sorry, what is virtual wire? What is tab? So everything we have a lab separately. Okay. So for that particular each and every topic, we will I'll teach you more in-depth knowledge. Okay. So you no need to worry about guys. Okay. Any queries? So if you have any queries, you can raise your hand. I'll unmute you. You can able to talk to me, guys. If it is everything is fine. So if you don't have any doubt, please acknowledge through chat. No, no, no. Actually, it doesn't mean you have it. It's not mandatory for it. So you have to use as IDS. It's a one of the feature they have given. It's totally depends on your feature. They have, as you mentioned, other vendors are having dedicated IDS. Yes, exactly. The same way Palo Alto given that feature, you can deploy the particular firewall as just like a IDS. That's it. You, whether you are going to use as a IDS separate, whether you are going to use Palo Alto as a IDS or something other devices, that's up to you. This feature is given that in that particular device, in that pan operating system. Okay. Policy, it's a rule where you are going to allow or deny, you are going to decide by creating by allow or deny the traffic. An object, it's an feature where you can create and you can refer that particular features. I mean, let's say I'm creating an IP address as an object, so I can use that object some different locations. Okay, so in if I want, so it's object, it's just a uh, sorry guys, you can create and you can reuse it. Okay, object, it's a feature, your whatever the feature you want to enable or disable, right? So that feature you can able to create. Let's say I want to block some specific applications, so in that case I can create, let's say I have a multiple, okay, let's say I have a multiple zone departments. Let's say I have a sales team. Here sales team is connected. Here support team is connected. So now I don't want to allow social media related applications and sites for sales team employees and support team employees. So in that case, I can create a application filter as an object, and the same let's say I'm creating one application filter. So block Facebook. So the same filter, this is the right now I just created as a object. So this object I can attach in my security policy. The same object I can attach for sales team employee and support team employees, because my I need a same result. I don't want to allow sales team employees to access the Facebook, and support team employees I don't want to access the Facebook. So here, instead of creating the same filter, creating multiple times, I have created once as a object, and I can attach that object in my two different policies. So where you reuse the features. Object is you are creating as a subjective, and then I mean creative as a feature. You are just creating one feature as an object, that object where you can use multiple times, reusable. Okay, any feature, any filter, if you want to reuse somewhere else, so then you can create as an object. Okay, clear? Sure, clear. Bora, I hope you have. I have cleared your doubt. What is the difference then when we are going to deploy a Palo Alto firewall as a IDS? Then why we need other IDS vendors like that, right? I hope it is cleared. So it's a feature. So the if you want, you can use, or you can go with the dedicated IDS vendors as well. Okay. Any doubts, guys? Anything else? Yeah, VPN you can deploy it. It's in a layer 3 deployment option. So that is the advanced topic we will do with our live session, guys. Okay. Anything else, guys? Okay. Hope your doubts are cleared. Okay. So in case if you have any doubts or any queries, you can reach out me. You can just contact this number. Okay. Okay. You can WhatsApp me. So related to and the live batch is going to start with coming Wednesday, 8th Jan, as per Indian standard timing. It is going to start with 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Okay, and we will close the admission process by 7th. We will close this offer which I mentioned, right? So those who are going to enroll for this 3-in-1 firewall combo, additionally, you will get your ASA and FTD firewall pre-recorded courses if you with rupees worth of 10,000. Okay, each 5,000 it will come. Okay, so we'll give you as an additional offer, and this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program, you can the fee structure for 3-in-1 firewall mastery program is actual cost is 25,000, and we are giving a 40 percentage offer right now for the New Year special offer. So you can take this course for 15,000. This 15,000 you can you can make your two installment. You can make the fee in a two installment if you're going to enroll for 3-in-1 firewall program, guys. Okay, so first installment should be a 8,000 or 150 USD. Okay, 8,000 INR. If you are from abroad, you have to pay 150 USD. Okay. Okay. And second installment while joining this course, second installment when you start your second firewall training, that time you have to make your remaining 7,000 INR and 90 USD. It's this is for exchange tax. It depends on the medium which you use. Okay, so those who are all going to make a single payment, right? So you will get additionally 3,000 offer. So you can enroll this all this 3-in-1 firewall mastery program for 12,000 rupees. So this offer valid up to tomorrow only. So those who are going to complete enrollment by 6th Jan itself, you can avail this 3,000 extra offer and along with two pre-recorded video ASA and FTD. And other guys, if you are preferred with the installment payment, so you can go like this 8,000 INR and 8,000 IN 7,000 INR. So you will get access for the pre-recorded videos ASA and FTD. You also will get the ASA and FTD access for the pre-recorded video guys. Okay. So and for abroad students, if you're ready to make a single payment, so instead of 240 USD, you will get 40 USD as offer. So you can enroll for 200 USD itself, single payment. And that too, as I mentioned, this offer is valid only for up to 6th Jan, coming Monday, tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. After 7 o'clock, the single payment option is closed and only then you have to go with the installment payment. Okay. And the admission process will complete on 7th Jan itself, guys. So since the batch is going to start on 8th Jan, we'll close the admission process and we'll take only 10 students for batch. Okay. So only limited seats only. We will not take much enrollment. Okay. So if you are interested, you can reach out us. Okay. And you today's session recorded video, and those who want more demo session, I'll share the previous sessions recorded video for FortiGate and Paloalto and Checkpoint for your reference. I request you to go through that and you can. So we are closing the admission process on 7th Jan itself. So and also the single payment offer we are going to close 6th Jan onwards. So I request you to complete your, if you're interested, I request you to use this offer and complete your admission process as soon as possible, guys. Yeah. Okay. So you can just Shiv, you can just ping me. Okay, and I'll assist you for that. You can just ping me on my WhatsApp number. I'll assist you for that. Okay. And if you have any doubts, you can reach out me. I'll. If you want to make a call, right? So you can just ping me in WhatsApp. We'll. I'll make a call and we'll have a discussion, guys. Okay. Okay, guys. So that's it today. We'll meet tomorrow. Sorry, come upcoming session, live session. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Take care.